Hi, welcome to Racehouse with me, Joe Lee.
Me, Darren Reeves.
It was the Las Vegas Grand Prix 2025. It's a night race, it's a street race, it's a freezing cold race. But it didn't matter because the points were earned, and Max Verstappen is the world champion for a fourth time. He now equals Alain Prost and Sebastian Vettel with 4 races apiece. And look at that
Look at that!
turncoat.
This pains me to put it on. In fact, I can't put it on because I've got headphones on. That's
Yeah,
stupid. But
if you're listening, he's got a Max cap.
I found this Max cap. It's actually from 2021, so his first championship.
Oof.
But I found it literally on the pit wall at Silverstone this year. So I thought, well, do you know what? It's a little bit of memorabilia of Formula One history, and
Yeah, 21.
it
Yeah.
is all. I feel like it's all about Max Verstappen today, Joe, but it's not really. There's so much to talk about, isn't there?
There is. I mean, George Russell, rightful winner. I mean, he was there from the start. He started on pole. Great race from him, really fast. We'll talk about the battles, and the battle maybe was him and Leclerc, certainly for a great portion of that, and then maybe Lewis, who was chasing them down near the end. But really, we were watching Verstappen Norris. That was the
Correct.
battle we wanted to see in this race.
It was the battle we didn't see in this race, though, Joe.
Yeah.
Norris started behind Max, and it just stayed that way. Max had nothing to do all race apart from to drive the car home and stay away from every barrier, every other car. Just bring it home, which is exactly what I tell my son to do. To finish first you must finish. And for Max at the moment, just bring that car home and you've done it. And I think he's managed his season fantastically, because it's the first time we've really seen him as a world champion, but in not the fastest car.
No, it's been competitive. It hasn't been a whitewash, as we've seen in previous races, previous seasons. He
Yeah.
really had to fight for this one. I mean, McLaren had a great resurgence. Mercedes are looking super fast. I mean, they were even surprised. I think
I'm
Lewis even said, "I don't
surprised.
know why we were that fast."
It was the oddest thing, really, because no one expected it. It's been 3 weeks again, but not a close break. They're all working hard. Mercedes have clearly done something, but Lewis just said it's the low temperatures. So had it been a day race in the desert, we might have seen a completely different result.
Yeah, that's right. I even texted you, didn't I? I said, is it me or do the cars look flatter? And it took me about half an hour to realize that the pub that I was at, the aspect ratio on the TV screen was wrong. I thought, hold on a minute, what has
Joe.
happened here? It looked like they'd been flattened like pancakes, and the wheels on the sides. Like, is this some kind of new car change for the last 3 races I haven't read about? And no, it was down to Fibber McGee's. But going back to the race, look,
Mm.
quali first of all. I mean,
Yeah.
big shock there. Gasly third, unbelievable from him.
Something's happened at Alpine. They've got Ollie Oakes taken over, Flavio Briatore being the grandfather of that team, the Benetton team originally. And there's been a definite change there. Gasly is clearly a great driver and came through Red Bull, but the result they had in Brazil, finishing second and third, and then to get a Q3 third place for qualifying, just it seems to have come out of nowhere. But they're doing something right. They are becoming more competitive, and Briatore has predicted that they will be getting podiums in 2027. Obviously, it was freak in Brazil, but something's right. But sadly for him, he had an engine blowout, and with Renault pulling out of Formula One and not making the engines for them moving forward, it's it's an odd one, but clearly Gasly's driving out of his skin.
He is driving out with skin, and some valuable points he would have won if he had finished the race as well. I mean, this engine just seemed to blow up in his face.
Yeah, Yeah, it happens from time to time, and they all have their engine allocations. So whether he's used all his up, and then we'll have a grid penalty in the next race next week in Qatar, we will find out. I'm not really sure of the stats of where they're all at with their engines. We saw Max take one in was it in Brazil, and it made absolutely no difference whatsoever.
Yeah.
So so the rules are the rules basically. But no, well done to Gasly for quali. And well done to George Russell for quali as well, because Mercedes were just all over every practice session from Thursday night when with FP1. Hamilton was fastest and Russell was second. They were just there together the whole time, except for in Q3 when Hamilton messed up a lap and then had to abort a lap. Started 10th. But we've watched in the race, for me, Hamilton was driver of the day. Russell was winner of the day. Verstappen was driver of the season. There's so many things to celebrate today. And for Mercedes, team of the weekend as well. A 1-2 for any team at any point at any race is the ultimate.
Yeah, and also this race was particularly difficult. I mean, it was very tricky, lots of slippery conditions. I mean, it looked pretty, it looked lovely, but it was freezing over there. There's people walking around in a real heavy coats and down jackets.
Joe, it's really strange to see, because I've spent quite a bit of time in Vegas, but never at this time of the year. It's always been between May and September, and you're just walking around in shorts and T-shirts 24/7, and you don't go to bed. You don't get out of your shorts and T-shirts. That's what happens in Vegas. And so it is weird to watch. I even just watched Ted's Notebook, and he was there in trousers and a jacket, and for Ted to not be in shorts and T-shirt anywhere, really shows you how cold it is in the desert at night. And but these cold temperatures mix it up. Vegas looks phenomenal under the lights. Vegas for me looks phenomenal during the day as well. I'd love to see a day, a dusk race there, like we do at some desert races as well at some point in time. But they open the road, Joe. The strip, the Las Vegas Strip, is open all day. And they can only. This is why they can't do anything before 10 p.m. at night. And for me, it's one of the most famous roads in the world. And there's a lot of people in Vegas who are not there for the Formula One. They're there for the shows. They're there for the gambling. They're there for the restaurants. They're there for the weather. They're there for And it's one of the craziest places, but one of my favourite places in the world. And I've spent a lot of time at the Cosmopolitan Hotel. And every time they drove to the end of the strip where the overtake was, I was thinking, oh, I'd love to be sat by the pool. Actually, no, I wouldn't love to be sat by the pool at that time of night in that cold. But it's mate, I just love watching them drive around that track. And Joe, one day maybe we will be there working or spectating.
One day.
Who knows?
Well, the sphere as well is such it's like an instant new landmark. It really is fascinating. Every time they go around, there's a new sponsor, there's a new graphic, new video, or there's crowd picture-in-picture shots. It really is fun, and they're building a second sphere in Abu Dhabi in Yas. So we're going to have a similar vibe happening in Abu Dhabi at the Yas race when the helicopters go over, because there'll be a second sphere there too.
Wow. Do we know when that's due to be completed?
It'll take 2 or 3 years, but actually they build things very quick over here. So once they've given it the green light, I'd give it 2-3 years probably.
Mate, well, it's the most spectacular of buildings, and it's just wow. You can't imagine that there's a building like it. And I've got a little sort of a thing about that building. So U2 have had a residency there, and their sound guy Niall is actually coming on tour with me next year as our front of house sound guy. So mixes his life up between U2 and Queen. So he's an Irish guy, and he used to work for Eddie Jordan for the race team. He used to be in the pits back in the 90s, and
it's that kind of guy.
Mate, listen, I can talk to him for hours and hours and hours about F1. We get onto music and sound, and it's about 2 minutes, and we just go and have a drink. But we talk about Formula One a lot. So and he works in there.
Well, talking of people that you know who love talking about Formula One and having a bevy now and again, it was a bit of a milestone: 600 races for one particular store of Formula One.
Yes, Andy Stevenson of Aston Martin, and he obviously is a friend of ours, Joe, and we got to meet him in Monaco and did an interview and had
Lovely
dinner,
guy.
and yeah, absolutely salt of the earth type guy, and just 600 Formula One races. I think I've done a lot, but that's serious commitment. Back from the '90s with Eddie Jordan again, has gone through
Jordan, yeah,
the different incarnations of that team. So Jordan,
F3
Force
started, didn't
India.
he?
Sorry,
I think he started F3 with Jordan.
did did he? Right. So we've gone back even further.
Yeah.
But yeah. But the incarnations of Jordan and Force India and Racing Point into Aston Martin, he's been there for all of it.
How he
And
survived all that as well, because Formula One is cutthroat, as we know.
yeah.
No one lasts for that long. There's always someone willing to take your place. But Andy is stuck at it. But he was a mechanic by trade, really, wasn't he?
Mhm.
And he's just kind of worked his way up through the ranks, through the team and teams. And now he's just such a veteran. He knows it inside out. It's
Yeah.
absolute in his blood, I thought.
Oh, he loves his fast cars, and I know he loves his Aston Martin that he gets to drive around in as well. So,
Oh,
he
fantastic.
he,
That's
he
what to
deserves it. Absolutely deserves it. So, yeah, a good shout out to Andy Stevenson today, and check out the interview I did with him in Monaco on our podcast.
That's right. Yeah. Big shout out to him. I want to do a shout out to Science. I mean, this is a guy who's moving over to Williams next year, and he's having one of the best seasons of his life. I mean, he came third today in this race. I mean, I think he could have done better. It could have been a 1-2 Ferrari, but Mercedes were just so crazily fast. Science is just looking phenomenal. What a travesty he's not going to Mercedes next year.
He, I, I, there's something I really like about him going to Williams. I just wish Williams were a bit better than they are now. But let's see what happens.
He's going to suffer, surely. He's not going to be able to drive as fast as this.
Not, he's still going to drive well. It'll be like Gasly in the Alpine that we talked about for a period of time. But Sainz has been brilliant at every team he's ever raced for, I think, and he's almost like an unsung hero type thing everywhere he goes, and he's been dealt a lot of bad luck, really. Wherever the car's never been quite right wherever he's gone until now, and now he's got it. I was there at Silverstone for his first win back in 2022 is when it was for his first 2022 for his first win, and there was some problems though today, wasn't there? That Leclerc, who finished just behind him, really was a bit annoyed that he didn't got let through to take the podium for Ferrari. And secondly, Sainz had a strange moment though, didn't he, today at the pit entrance, Joe? Did you see that?
It was like Benny Hill in the pit stops today.
Well, Sainz basically came into the pit entrance, and Hamilton was right behind him because Hamilton was actually going to overtake him, but they both came in. And then right at the last minute, Sainz cut across to the right and carried on, but right across the yellow lines. So everybody was like, slam dunk penalty. And Hamilton was on the radio, you can't do that, and so on. Nothing happened. There's a new race director this weekend because Vitic has been relieved of his duties, and nothing happened. And it was treated like a track limits violation. So you get 3 track limits, and then you get a black and white flag, and then you'll get a penalty, which we saw in Kota lots and lots where Norris got his.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a slam down penalty. Once you enter the pit lane, you can't come back out again. That yellow line is part of the pit lane, but clearly not. So I think there'll be a few more discussions on that, Joe, today. But I thought that's a slam dunk 5 or 10 second penalty, and Sainz would drop back down to behind Verstappen and Leclerc and finish 5th. So I don't know. I just can't work it out at all why it's been dealt that way. So maybe it's not understanding the rules. But Max would know the answer.
Yeah, but Max would know. He knows everything. He just sits at home reading the FIA rules all night. But that's probably the thing you need to do to have the edge. But they were very vigilant with Norris, though. Norris got a penalty. again, this box thing. I mean, what is it
Hold
with
on.
him?
Piastri got the penalty
Oh, was it
for
Piastri?
McLaren
Sorry, I
today,
thought it was
not
Lando.
Norris. That's all right. No, no, no. So Piastri got a 5-second penalty for a false start. Basically, he wasn't quite. He was in it. I couldn't work it out. He was in his box, but he'd gone over the yellow line
I think
that
it's
sticks
over the
out to
line.
show them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was still in his pit box. So unless, and I haven't seen it yet, unless he actually had an early start, he jumped the lights. Excuse me. I thought that was a very unlucky infringement and didn't think he deserved it from what I could see from the camera angles.
But when you've got all the other drivers dubbing you in, I mean, that's what they do on the team radio. You go, oh, no, you can't do that. Oh, full start
Oh, yeah.
this. I mean, they dub each other in
Yep.
all the
Yep.
time.
And I would be doing exactly the
because
same thing. You've got to do everything to gain the smallest of advantage. And we've seen Max push these rules to the absolute limit this season, more than I think I can ever remember any driver other than Michael Schumacher. But to push these rules, to push the limits to their tolerance level, you've got to overstep them sometimes to know where that tolerance is. And we've seen Max do that to the point where they even end up rewriting the rules due to the way these drivers approach them. We're watching Max do this to perfection. And, whether we agree with it, whether we want everybody to sit within rules. But I think the Brits are too nice. I think,
we
we
are by nature.
I think we're all too nice. And to be the best, you've got to absolutely rinse everything out of that rule book.
Yeah, there weren't many infringements. I mean, we didn't have any yellow flags or virtual safety cars.
I was expecting totally expecting to see a big crash today. Those speeds with that slippery track and those tight walls like Monaco, I can't believe we didn't see nothing, like not even a yellow flag.
On the opening lap, though, going I think to the first corner, the second corner, there was maybe a lockup or someone spun at the back. Maybe it's Bottas. I'm not sure.
Oh,
I remember
didn't
seeing
see
that. Yeah, I'm gonna check the start. I remember seeing some kind of smoke. So I'm guessing it must be a lockup at the back.
Have a look at that. I'm not sure. The only thing I can remember about the start was the most brilliant inside line that Leclerc took from Leclerc was fourth, was he? Fourth or fifth?
Third,
and
fourth,
no, Gasly was third when he. So he just cut in and took second place behind Russell, and then it was a brilliant turn one. Let everybody else slide out on the slippery track. He went wide and then cut in. It was brilliant. I think they said it on the commentary. Every young driver, that's how to take a turn one, and it was brilliant to watch.
I think it's one of the shortest turn ones in F1.
Yes, it is from the start line to the first corner. I think it's either the shortest or the second shortest, and if it is the second shortest, I can't think what is the shortest. Could be Monaco.
Talking of shortest, Yuki Tsunoda,
what's
top 10 for him. He got 9th place. Liam Lawson didn't have the magic today. 16th he finished. Just
he had
Ocon and Bottas.
He had a little battle with Perez though. His weekly battle with Perez.
Oh yeah.
But this time it was very clean. He let Perez through. It was very, very sensible. But I think Tsunoda achieved, good qualifying, Q3 qualifying, and a good race result. That's a solid drive from Tsunoda today.
Well, as was Hulkenberg finishing 8th for Haas. I think he's feeling invigorated. He's off to Audi. I don't know. He's feeling like the man. I mean, Magnussen got 12th. He's really seemed like the poorer driver this season compared to Hulkenberg.
I think that Haas are looking really slick this season, slick operation with Komatsu running the show. We all love Gunther Steiner, but let's move on. Haas are looking really good this season. They've gone back into 6th place above Alpine thanks to Hulkenberg's drive. But what Hulkenberg did is he looked after his tyres in the first stint, which meant he was the last one to pit for his hard tyres, which meant he had fresher tyres to carry on, which gave him that excellent 8th place. So brilliant drive by Hulkenberg. I can't believe that he hasn't had a podium. He's the longest serving driver not to have a podium. And he was out. He was out for 2 or 3 seasons, wasn't he? And he
Yeah.
came back into that house, and I think he's been fantastic. And it'll be really interesting to see him in the moving across to Sauber next season. We're not expecting anything, but seeing it turn to Audi and see what happens with that. And of course, we have another rookie as his teammate now, Joe.
Mm.
Gabriele Bortoletto is going to be
Yes.
in that car. And you know that I've been very, very vocal about my opinion of this season where there were no rookies on the starting grid for the first time ever in Formula One, 74
Mm-hmm.
years. And we have another one. So we have so many rookies on the starting grid. And having seen Colapinto and Lawson come in and Behrman come in this season, and I want to say there's another one as well. Was there another one this season? Oh yeah, no, there wasn't. That was it. That was
No.
it. That's it. So to see those three come in as essentially reserve drivers, taking over driving seats from underperforming stars like Daniel Ricciardo, not Logan
Yeah.
Sargent.
There's also
For me, it's so exciting.
It's exciting. It's that new blood. We need that. We need them to have track time as well, so they can become the next legends.
Yeah.
But also talking about reserves. I mean, there's rumor that I think Bottas might become a Ferrari reserve driver for Lewis.
I heard that, and obviously they've worked together before, so that'll be a Lewis
Mm.
idea probably. He's been a great number two. It's not a silly thing to do, really. Because not
No.
only do we want to see the rookies being reserve drivers and have the opportunity, they need to develop the car. They're there as part of the development program, whether it's doing the sim or whether it's testing some of the previous cars, incarnations of the cars, which they can do at other circuits and so on. There's a lot that goes on that we don't see that those reserve drivers do.
But Bottas, he's really helped Lewis out on many, many occasions to help him get many of those titles. I think this could be a bit of a payback from Lewis saying, okay, look, come to Ferrari. You're going to end your career now. Come over. You can drive a Ferrari now and again, which is, I think, it's every F1 driver's dream. Is to drive for Ferrari. So this could be, a nice payback. I don't know. I mean, he just needs to stop doing these Iron Man. He woke up the other day and said, I'm going to do an Iron Man today. Ridiculous. Bottas did.
Well,
Did
yeah,
you see that video?
I didn't see it, but it's the mentality of these drivers. What it takes to get in one of those cars and drive like they do. It's a mentality, Joe, that you're a certain type of person, and so it doesn't surprise me. I remember Jenson Button doing all these pentathlon events and so on between races in the closed season, but you have to push yourself to the limit every day with everything you do. I dread to think the strength of coffee that he drinks.
Well, I took that on board. I did a 5K run this morning before the podcast.
You did?
So that just shows the commitment to podcasting. I want to be the greatest podcaster ever, and so you got to commit, guys. You got to commit.
You have. I hope you've showered, Joe, because I saw you from here down the podcast.
Not yet. One thing about commitment is Las Vegas's commitment to bling. And the whole show. We had the return of I don't know what they were, Bentleys, Rolls Royces, gold plated and phantoms.
I think they're cars from the Bellagio Hotel, and it's all about the Bellagio.
Yeah.
It's all. Oh my God!
What do you think about this?
Can I be honest with you, mate? I don't mind them doing the interview. The fountain's one of the most iconic parts of the track. I don't mind, but why they drive their cars around after the finish line? They drive past the fountains. Just stop and get out. Park your cars up, jump out, do the interview, and then drive round to the podium. Why do we need to put them in Rolls Royces, cramp them all in together, where the conversations is just mega awkward, and it
20
just
miles
takes...
an hour?
Oh, Joe, I'm afraid F1 is about speed, and they've got that wrong. That bit. I don't mind them stopping and doing the interviews halfway around the track. I think it's a great thing for the fans. Obviously, there's not, I don't think many of the fans could actually see it because of the camera angles or where the stage is with the fountains. But I do understand it. I just think it's a little bit clunky is the best description.
I like the idea. I think just drive the cars faster, drive the rollers faster to the fountains, because it takes too long. Just gun it, get it there. I know it's precious cargo, but these guys can hack 70 miles an hour.
Well, they've just driven past it, Joe. That's the bit I don't get.
Yeah, but you can't get out of a Formula One car with all the bits and your helmet, connecting the bits, the headrest, the hate, all that. It's a pain. So you can't.
Well, they only need to do it. They only need to do it once, so they could stop by the fountains, take all their gubbins off because they have to do that where they stop anyway. Do the interview and then have the Rolls Royces take you around the front at least. But it's just painful. Well, the team will do that, mate.
The team on the other side of the track.
Don't worry about it. They can sort that out. It's so boring.
It is boring, and I think they should instead just. I get it with the fountains. I know what you mean. There needs to be a halfway, but I think maybe just get them in the cars quicker and then drive them there faster, get that thing done, and then drive them back faster while you're setting up the big LED podium thing, which I think is cool. I like the big LED podium things.
Well, so the next thing for me, right, is those LED podiums look great, but they're mobile. So how about drive them around the circuit so all the fans get to see? Like it's going to take 20 minutes or something to drive it around the track, But a bit like the driver parade for before a race, where they stick them on the back of the truck or on the back of sports cars. Why not drive the podium round? Everybody's spent hundreds, if not thousands, of pounds to be there. Guys, give them 20 minutes and let everybody see the podium. I think that'd be great.
I know, but TV prevails over the event, I think.
I totally agree with you. But it doesn't have to be on TV.
Framing it in front of the grandstand with the F1,
No, I agree with that. And do that. But then drive around. You can still do all your TV interviews on the back of the truck. You can still do all your stuff from the pit lane. You can,
I go back to James Hunt days, tab on, I love that. It's a very good race, and I thought it went very well.
I think there's an element that they could do it. Joe, the other thing I was going to say was, do we treat Perez's 10th place as a good drive for him today? It's painful.
Well, I mean, maybe he's been distracted by all the stuff in the press this past week about what his dad's been saying. His dad has had no filter, basically, and Perez had to come out and say, I do not agree with all this stuff. And it was all about Ralph Schumacher, actually. So we'll leave you guys to look that up, what he said about Ralph. But look, I don't know. He's probably got the most pressure on him in the paddock, and kind of unjustifiably so. I mean, he'll finish second or third, and he'll still get absolutely railed by the fans and the press. And when you leave in, your contract's up and you're done and you're getting fired tomorrow. I mean, he gets that every single week, and I think you've got to just leave off him a bit. I think he's contracted next year as well, isn't he? To Red Bull.
He's got 2 years.
Years.
He signed a 2-year extension back in July, I think. And he's not driven well ever since he signed it. My opinion is, had that been a good driver, let's say Lawson, let's say Ricciardo, would Red Bull have won the championship and the Constructors' Championship? Because I honestly believe, what are they now? 53 points behind. It's not a lot to expect a second driver to score 53 points more than what Perez has actually scored, especially in this second half. In the second half of the season, yeah. So my honest opinion on this is Perez has to perform, and Perez hasn't been performing really consistently this season, underperforming. So I think they have to do something about it. Whether that's Lawson, whether that should have been Ricciardo, whether it could be Colapinto. I think with Colapinto crashing yesterday in quali in Q2, as well as in Brazil, I now think there's a couple of question marks over whether he's ready. But Lawson, I see no reason why you couldn't put him in. Switch it, put Perez in. Perez has had his day, really, I feel. He was good for Verstappen last season and the season before, but because he was taking points away from the other drivers, the other teams.
Could be a good switch.
Not done that.
Is that your evil plan? Switch him over?
I see no reason why not to. I don't think they'd have anything to lose. Yeah,
no,
nothing to lose.
I think it'd be great, and it will give Max a bit more. Well, he doesn't need us. I mean, he's so disciplined, but I mean, him and Liam, I could see that as a
The,
really powerful duo.
I think so. The only problem with it is what does that say about Sonoda? Because I know Sonoda believes he's done enough, more than enough, in the RB these last couple of seasons, and he's really stepped it up. His results have been good, and
He
again
has.
with a ninth place today in an RB, I think that's a great result to beat Perez. Why?
It's a
Why
great
am I?
result.
Why am I not in that car? He must be saying that.
Yeah, no, it's true. Well, let's see is the answer.
Yep.
We have our wish list, and I think we do get things right sometimes. We get some things very wrong, but one thing we did get right was that this was going to be a great race, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I also felt that Max was going to get it this weekend. You know, clinch
Yes,
that world championship.
I totally agree. The McLaren just didn't look on pace at all from first practice this weekend. They clearly have taken a step back. Apparently, it's to do with the fact they're not allowed to use this new rear wing now. We saw it with Red Bull earlier in the season, where Red Bull had to stop using something, and then we saw the drop off on their performance. I think we're witnessing it now. But FIA, it's like all the teams read between the lines of the rule book. That's how they make it all happen and how they get an edge.
Mm.
To stop them halfway through a season, oh, you can't do that. I don't know if that's right. It's like, well, it's either in the rules or it isn't. Well, and they've done it to the team that was leading with Red Bull, and now they've done it to the team that's leading with McLaren.
Mm.
So what have Ferrari got when they get the lead next week? And when they go and win in Qatar. Because for me, I expected Ferrari to have that 1-2 this weekend. None of us expected Mercedes to have it until we saw the
No,
cars go round. I think McLaren have got a lot to worry about because they looked nailed on, didn't they, a month ago for this Constructors' Championship, having been
it was
nowhere
theirs.
near 3 months ago.
It was theirs, and I agree. I think Ferrari could be really now turbocharged. I mean, I haven't done the maths, but I think they could clinch constructors. Where are they? I've got it here. McLaren at the moment 608 points. Ferrari 584.
Yeah, it's really
Uh,
close.
it's close,
Really
and
close.
Red Bull
20,
555.
yeah, 24 points behind. It's less than a race win, basically. So they definitely can't clinch it until the last race of the season. So it's going to go down to the wire, whatever. But of course, Red Bull, if Mercedes can get in there and take the big points like they did today, which helped McLaren really, that's
It did. Zach Brown
Mercedes
said that he was cheering for Lewis.
He did exactly, and of course they both race Mercedes engines, so they have a partnership there.
Yeah,
There is a
it's
connection.
great from both.
So Mercedes did a great job for McLaren today, and McLaren have been very lucky to walk away with the lead they have going in with 2 races to go. But I think that's what we've got to watch now, Joe, to see what happens. Really, now, Joe, am I right in saying you have a cousin who's at the race this weekend?
So yeah, as my cousin Jeff Green is out with his partner in Las Vegas, and Jeff didn't realize that the F1 race is actually on. So he planned a trip to Vegas, and he drove out there. He's got a very lovely, shiny Cybertruck, Tesla Cybertruck. Is very happy and proud of. It looks very cool. It's all wrapped and looks amazing. And yeah, so he was there, and then it's like, hold on a minute, what are all these barriers doing here? What is that? And it's F1. So he's actually sent me some videos. It's very late now. He must be in bed now. But he sent me some videos of him walking around the sides of the circuit, where you can go down the escalators and all around the different vantage points. But you got security everywhere saying move on, move along, move along, move along the whole time. So unlike Monaco or a couple other tracks, you can't get a bit of a free vantage point, but he did manage to see the track, see some cars go around, and I think because it was blooming freezing, I thought you probably did the sensible thing and go and see Celine Dion, and then come back out for the end.
I think it's more Donny Osmond, isn't it, at the moment? I don't think Celine's performing at the moment.
Oh, okay.
No. But
Eagles maybe. Yeah.
But Joe, I don't know if it was a sellout. I know it said they had 306,000, which it was that's a fantastic Consider it's only the
Sounds a lot.
second year. There's big number. But there was talk about lots of tickets being available, especially on Friday. So had I been in Vegas for any other reason other than Formula One, of course, and just tripped over it, there would have been tickets available. So I'd have gone out and bought a really warm jacket, a dry robe, and sat there and absolutely taken it in. But that's great, mate. He sent you some stuff over, and I'm very, very jealous of his Tesla Cybertruck.
Yes,
I'm
well,
very
Jeff,
jealous of that. I want to
we're
see the
both very
photos.
jealous. Yeah, I will send the photos over to Darren.
Yeah.
And also, I've got to say hi to Aaron and his partner, Miss Murphy, who I met at the pub. We were watching F1 together, and he also did the fun run earlier today. So he did the fun run, and then we watched the F1, had a banging Irish breakfast, and maybe a pint of the black stuff to recover. And a big F1 fan there. So to Aaron and co. Big shout out from Racehouse, and nice to see you and meet and chat F1 for a while. Have you got anything? I mean, you've been karting, haven't you?
So, mate, yesterday I got up at 5:30 a.m. UK time and watched quali, and then got straight in the van off to Camberley Kart Club. So Lucas has now finished all his championships this season, and he was the 5th highest point scorer in the clay pigeon championship this season. So we were really proud of him for that. Now he's moving up into the senior category in karting for next season. And to do that, we've got to go to 3 other tracks and get signatures. So yesterday was all about go to Camberley, race at Camberley, sign. But he was really upset with me, Joe, because I refused to buy him a new set of tyres. So we had to run used tyres all day. And it was Storm Bert here in the UK. So it was a very, very wet race. But he did a fantastic job, considering he's never been to the track before, never done a test day, never done anything. He was up running 10th at one point, finished 11th in the end, but we were over the moon with that, considering he'd never touched the track until yesterday. So he did a fantastic job on old tyres, which I think were costing him about 0.7 seconds per lap. So to achieve that straight out the blocks, and no freshers, but he's not let me forget about it. But he got home last night to find a new Xbox a month before Christmas, and he gets back to a new Xbox because Formula One doesn't work on the Xbox that he had now. The software upgrade, they don't support it anymore. It's like the old original version or whatever.
So buy a whole new console.
So we've had to buy a whole new console, which was the same price as one set of new wet tyres.
That's the opportunity cost right there for all you budding economists. I don't know, which would you rather have? Let us know in your comments. Let us know what you thought of the race. Next time it is Qatar. We will be talking after the race about that. Let us know what you want to talk about, and let us know if you're there in Qatar. And then that is the penultimate before the season finale in Abu Dhabi. But from now, it's bye from me, Jolie.
And it's goodbye from me, Darren Reeves. Take care.
Take care.